Still loading. Okay. Yay! All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another DR Live. Yes, I'm going live, not on my channel, but the strike should be expired actually by now, but it's okay. I'll go live here on Resolute TV. Why not? I also have this channel, so why not use it? Sorry. Okay, so today I have three very unique guests, one from Melbourne, two from New South Wales. I have Renee Altacriti. She has become quite known because she was arrested in front of her son and he looked traumatized from the ordeal. We have Nazar, who has actually got inside footage of a hospital, which we shall play later today. And then we have Nick, who was arrested, and you hardly even got to spend time at the protest before you were arrested. So I don't know what order we should go in, but whoever wants to jump in first can be the first person to talk about what they want to talk about. All right, Nazar, you go first. Nazar, you go first because you're more relevant in that you are in Victoria and we're all worried about you guys. So tell us why you decided to take the footage and what the result of the footage has become. I'm going to mute my mic now.
Okay, so for me, I have a dad that lives with me. He's 70 years old and he has dementia, COPD, diabetes, and a whole range of other things. Most days he forgets who I am. He asks me, where am I from, who am I, and whatnot. But he's got a lot of medical issues. And one particular day he was sort of grunting, making noises, but not talking. I went into his room to see what's wrong, and he was sort of shaking, and he was just sort of looking at me blankly. He wasn't all there, and I knew something was wrong. So I'm trying to talk to him. He wasn't responding. I tried, everything I could. Nothing was working, so I called an ambulance. At the time I did this, which was at the end of March, we were only about a week and a half into our state of emergency. So at the time, the media, of course, and Facebook and everything was telling us that, this is a pandemic. It's really bad. People are dying. Hospitals are really full. Don't go unless you have to. Social distancing, you make sure you're 1.5 meters apart. Try not to buy too many masks. We need them for the medical sector. They're running out because they all need them in there, and all this. So when the ambulance was here and they were taking him away, they said to me, are you going to be coming? I said, well, yeah, I can't leave him by himself. He's Middle Eastern. His English isn't great. He hardly remembers who I am. It'd be very sort of traumatic for him to be there alone. And my partner said to me, can you not go? Can you just leave it with them? I don't want you near the hospital with all this happening. We were almost convinced that this thing was real, but I couldn't leave him, so I went, and when I got there, I was just dumbfounded. I remember, I walked in and I looked to my left, and there's a waiting room, and it was full. It was full, and I think I noticed maybe 2 people wearing a mask, and no one else was. And they're all sitting next to each other, and I'm like, hang on a sec, what's going on here? I thought it was a 1.5 meter rule, and you have to wear masks, and the waiting room was full with just broken finger, this and that, sore head, whatnot. Then there were people at the front counter, and I'm watching them, and they didn't have any masks. And the ladies on the other side of the counter, the nurses, they were treating them and talking to them. And then one came out and sat next to them to take their temperature and whatnot. No masks. And I'm like, hang on. So then I walked to the lady to get me into the emergency ward. And as I walked through, there was just people everywhere. No one's wearing a mask. No one was social distancing. It was surreal. I thought I was going to get into the hospital. I thought it was going to be full. I get into the emergency ward and there were only 2 cubicles used. And I'm like, where's everyone else? Like, I thought this was full. This is what I was being told. And there was nothing. And then they had this special section, like this sliding door, and it says respiratory ward and all that. And I asked the doctor, where's Dad? He goes, he's in there because of the COVID. We've got to put him in there. It's a respiratory section for all potential COVID cases. And so I go in there, and my dad's not wearing a mask. And I said, shouldn't he be wearing a mask? And they said, there's no need, really, but we've tried to give him one, but he won't put it. He's uncomfortable with it, and he's walking around. Anyhow, long story short, I get talking to the doctors, and they said to me, I understand that 12 hours earlier he was fine, and all he's got is he's a bit confused. I thought it was, sugar levels or something. And they said to me, look, we need to talk to you. We need you to have a think about, have you thought about non-resus option? I said, what's a non-resus option? And they said, it's so that if something happens to your father and he needs to be resuscitated, have you thought about whether or not you want him resuscitated? I go, why would I think about that? Why do I need to think about that? And they said, well, with his diabetes, his COPD, his dementia and everything, it looks to us that he's suffering from what's called delirium. And delirium usually results in pneumonia or something. So I have no medical sort of background or knowledge, but this is what they're telling me. And as a result, with the COVID, going around as well and all of this, it's possible that he may need to be resuscitated. And I've gone, really? Is that serious? I was only bringing him in to, test his sugars or, let me know he's okay. I said, no, I haven't thought about it. He goes, well, you need to go and think about it. You need to let us know. So I went outside. I called my mother, my sisters, my partner. I told them, I know it's going to sound weird. Don't get upset, but this is what they've asked me to do. And I actually got I was in shock. I didn't expect this. And so I was out there for a while. As I walked back in, I thought, they're not going to believe me. All I was thinking at that time was, they're not going to believe me if I tell them I was in an emergency ward. No one was wearing masks. No one was social distancing. No one was clean. They're not going to believe me. And just for that reason, I thought I want to show my partner and my sisters and whatnot. It was just a private video I made for myself to show those closest to me, because I knew they wouldn't believe me from what we were seeing on the media. So I walked in with the phone on and filmed it. And that's the video. So I walked in and I'm saying, look, here's the waiting room. You can see, I'm not lying to you. There's no one ringing. So I'm actually talking to them, and otherwise I wouldn't have, I think I swore once or twice in there, like, shit or whatever it was. And I wouldn't have done that if I knew anyone was ever going to watch it. And then over that time, I've been showing it to those closest to me. They've asked me to then forward them the video. And I said, no, I don't want it on social media, because if you end up putting it on your Facebook or something, people will see it. Don't upset these guys. The doctors were really honest with me. They told me this is the quietest it's ever been. They told me that there's the calm before the storm, but there's no storm. This thing's not real. And so I, just out of respect for them, I didn't publicize it in April or May or June. And of course, I've got a school teacher who I respect greatly, and she's been so great to us, 30-something years later, and we still have contact with her. And she messaged me privately, saw that I was putting a few posts up about this thing's not real. It's not true. I've been and I've seen, and asked me to sort of back away, and she's thought that, it might influence people's thinking and opinions. So I just vanished off Facebook for 2 or so months. And then, of course, this happens. We get into stage 4, and we're told that this is so bad. And I've been at a hospital 2 or 3 times since, and not much has changed. Yes, now they might wear masks, but it's no social distancing. Some don't wear masks. Everyone's touching their face. They're all saying the same thing. And I've got personal friends of mine. You can see on the actual post itself, nurses, doctors, and so on. And now people from ER wards are messaging saying it's no different. It's all
okay.
It's all, so
let me share some of your video for those who haven't seen it. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Hopefully this works. If it doesn't, then we're not going to be able to share it. Hang on a second. I go to share screen, and then I go here, and then which one was yours? The third tab. That's not you. That's not you. That one's you. Tell me if you can hear. Okay.
Sure. No volume.
Can you hear it?
No.
You can't hear it. Okay. Hang on. This always happens because I am an unprofessional person. All right, let me go to the camera mic bit, audio. Sorry, everyone. Let me try stereo. Red wristband on?
Yeah, I've got my wristband. Yeah. Yep.
Not a problem.
No worries. Do I just go and do that and go on up again? All right, thanks.
Necessarily about.
So now the decision gets made. How do you open this shit? Put a mask on. I can't believe no one's wearing masks. Like, out there, everyone thinks this is like the end of the world, and here, it's just, what do you do?
This is the quietest I've seen this joint
Yeah,
ever.
that's good.
I think it feels like it's going to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
feels like he's calm
Before the storm.
all shit.
Yeah. There he is. Yeah, I've just spoken to my partner just to make sure about the resus thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
If you think, say there's, I don't know, pneumonia or whatever, anything happens, and yeah, just do what you got to do.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. So I think the nurses called you back because they're having a hard time.
Oh, they need me again?
Yeah.
I got him to sit down.
Oh, did you?
I kind of just yelled at him. I went,
Yeah, good. That's how you got to do
sit
it.
down, and he just looked at me, and I'm like, down. He's like, yeah, he just sat down.
That's how you got to do it with him.
Yeah. I just kind of thought, old Arabic man is probably not going to listen to me if I.
Yep. No, can't hear.
You can now?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was your little experience in there. It's completely empty, and then the guy even says it's been the quietest it's been in a while, and you even talk about, oh, no one's wearing a mask. So that's really, really interesting. I myself have been to a New South Wales major hospital. I'm going to release a video of the footage that I personally got with two friends, in the next coming weeks. So that was your experience. I thought now we would jump to Nick because you were at the most recent protest. Tell us what happened, why it happened. You sort of went to a cop and said, "Oh, you're not wearing a mask. Why aren't you wearing a mask?" So go ahead, Nick. Tell us your story. I'm going to mute my mic.
Yes, so I attended the Freedom Day rally down at Sydney Olympic Park, and when I turned up, there was just a ridiculously heavy police presence, but I still thought nothing of it because I just didn't think that we were in the sort of position where we were. I thought maybe they thought a few of us might have gotten out of hand, so they were just there for that. But I remember hearing before it started, one of the senior cops there told the guys, go after the ones with the placards first. And I sort of brushed that off and thought I must have misheard and all of that. So the thing started, and it was all very jovial for however many minutes. And then the police just came in and started tearing people away, and very violently towards a lot of women too, I noticed early on. So I did actually get to spend a little bit of time in the protest. So throughout the whole day, the police were very, very heavy-handed for about an hour and a half. And then towards when I could feel it was getting near the end, I sort of put myself through the police line and then sort of got myself off to the side, and I thought, I'll stand on a wall, and I started filming a few things, and there was a couple of guys getting arrested. And if there's one thing we've seen, particularly from Renee's incident, you've got to record these things wherever possible. And then out of nowhere, these two officers sort of picked me out, and it was my turn to get picked on. So obviously at first I sort of argued with them for a moment, and then I sort of quickly realized that wasn't going to go anywhere because they'd given me a move on direction, told me the whole spiel. And because I realized it wasn't going to go anywhere, I thought, all right, I'll get the officer's details and I can follow it up later, which I started asking them for their details in writing. They basically declined to give them to me, and within about 30 or 40 seconds of ignoring my request and repeatedly asking me to move on, they just grabbed me. One of them put me in a wrist lock, forcefully dragged me. I kept repeating that I'm not resisting, I'm not getting aggressive, anything like that. And for some weird reason, they took me about 10 meters away from where I was, up a small case of stairs, and threw me behind into the ground behind a hedge. I don't know why, but fortunately some other people there for the same reason as I filmed it, which obviously offered me some kind of protection. But in the end, I ended up getting a $1,000 fine for not following whatever the COVID-19 regulation is. Once they actually arrested me, amongst other things, I kept repeatedly asking these officers for their details because they weren't clearly displayed on their uniform. And every time they sort of declined to give them to me. And by the end of it, they handed me the fine. I started to walk off and I asked them again, can I get your details in writing? And they told me it was on the fine. And at the time, you know, obviously a little bit, you know, not in a great headspace, I wandered off. And I found that even in that moment, the details weren't on the fine, and I never got the guy's details at all. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's basically the gist of it.
No, I gotcha. That's really, really unbelievable that our police are behaving in this way. I think, Renee, your story is probably the most well-known at this stage, at least among this panel. But I do want to play a little bit of your own experience as well, Nick, so that people can get an idea of what it was like. So let me just first change the audio, so you guys won't hear me, but you'll hear the right audio. So I go to the speakers, and I think it was, oh yeah, speakers, yeah. It's not responding.
While we're waiting, actually, I don't know if you can hear me, guys. I saw what happened to you, Nick. I was standing up near the ice cream shop, and they'd pulled Joe McHale's, the guy who was helping him film, because they'd just detained Joe. And then I saw you in the hedges. I'm like, oh my gosh, look what they're doing to this guy. I thought they'd thrown you over the hedges so they could basically treat you how they want without people filming. And then I saw people moving in, filming from in front of me. So I thought, okay, someone's filming it. But yeah, same deal. No issuing officer on the infringement notice. And I believe you would have got bailed to comply with the COVID direction notice, $1,000. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what they're slogging everyone with. And it's just a fear tactic. Sorry, Dia, you're ready to go. But I was watching what happened to you. They had you on the ground. I'm like, oh my gosh, has this man committed a crime? Has he shot somebody? Has he stabbed somebody? Like, they were treating you like you'd literally, you know, done some damage to someone or something.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, no,
absolutely crazy.
I was surprised, and I was surprised at how quick they went from 0 to 100. Yeah, because you weren't cooperating. They want you to cooperate. They want you to say, oh yes sir, 3 bags full, tell me where I need to go, what I need to do. Would you like me to kiss your feet while I'm there? You know, no, it was
like
horrible.
Yeah, crazy.
Sorry, it's just
How do you find Nick? How do you feel now around police?
I have very little trust for them, and that's why throughout the day, anyone I saw getting arrested, I had my camera right on them, followed them away, and all that, because I think your incident was, like, I think for a lot of people, that was the moment we realised what's going on here, and that anything could happen.
You're not safe.
And to tell you the truth, I'd say a lot of us might not have gone there that day had it not been for that happening in the past, because we knew how serious it was. Yeah, because leading up to the Freedom Day on the 5th of September, I really hesitated about going. I've struggled a lot with, you know, and I'm a real fearsome person. So I've really struggled a lot now with, okay, I don't feel safe. I'm not going to be safe. If they are capable, and this is what I say to everybody, if they are capable of doing that to a mother and a child back in May at the start, when I was so peaceful. There was literally 20 or 30 of us in the street. We were abiding by their bullshit COVID regulations too. We're keeping distance. We were,
not gathering in groups. It was just me and my son. So yeah, to that's what I say to people, like they're capable of anything, even though it's unlawful what they're doing, they're still capable of doing it, because it becomes about a power trip, and it becomes about, sorry, Nazar.
No, I'm just not sure if you guys get to see what's happening here in Melbourne at the moment. It's insane. It's really insane. It's crazy. It's crazy. And you know what? All the years they've spent getting the, restoring the respect that they had with the people, it's gone. Like anybody I speak to, a lot of people I speak to don't have anything against police normally. They're actually scared. They're actually scared. Like you see a police car now, it's, oh my God, like, am I doing something wrong? It used to be in the old days, am I speeding? Is my seatbelt on? Now it's like, what am I doing wrong? We actually don't know what we're doing wrong.
Am I going to get my head kicked in? Am I going to get my children ripped from me?
It's crazy what they're doing.
And it's
the one that was in her pajamas,
so wrong.
The kids and all this sort of it's horrible. It's really full on. They're crazy. Yeah, they're actually on a power trip.
They're psychopaths, Nazar. They're psychopaths.
Yeah.
They're armed psychopaths, and they're operating under a foreign crown. We are crown. We're sovereign. And I know people throw that word around loosely, but we actually are. We are our own authority, and they don't come above us in any which way. They work for us, and it just, the pecking order of the whole society at the moment is totally wrong. We need a massive restructure. Massive. We really need to see them fall, really, at the end of the day. And I think by us all coming together and more people seeing truth, and look, I was in the same situation you, Nazar. Like my husband's father, my father-in-law, went to hospital at the very start, and I was so crazy, right? Watching the news and be like, oh, turn this Channel 7 on. What's happening now? How many cases? Oh, shit. I hope it doesn't come to me. I hope it doesn't come to, any of my family. And then my husband was going to visit his father in hospital. It was, he had... he's got heart conditions and whatnot, and my husband was going, and I actually said to my husband, and again, he's from an Arab background, and you know what the Arabs are like, you've got to go, do your visits and whatnot, and he'd been the eldest son, so he was like, Renee, that's my dad, and I'd be like, yeah, but do you have to? We've got 3 young children. What if something happens and you bring something back? And apparently the hospitals, like, I reckon they're breeding grounds. And then he would come home, and I would make him get stripped in the laundry. I'd wash his clothes down and disinfect everything. I'd make him have a shower. I'd spray his work boots down outside. And then I went nuts. I made him wear a mask. Then you have that point, that thing, that pivotal thing that happens. And when they started trampling the rights, and when I started looking at the stats and going, right, Renee, you need to operate now out of fact, not what you're watching. And then it just took a couple of little things that floated past my path that I was supposed to see. And then, it was, right, we've got to stand here. We have to do something, because this is going to get way out of hand. And it's,
I know exactly how you feel. When I did it, my partner did the same exact thing. I had to take off all my clothes at the front door. She wanted to put it straight in the wash. Look at it. There's nothing now. I'm trying to tell her. I'll show you the video. I filmed it. It was just insane. That's how we thought of it at the time. It's crazy. And it's a real, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Do you want us to keep talking? We can keep talking. I'm a chatterbox, so we can keep going.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, keep going. You guys are doing great. You don't need me.
So with my husband, I said to him the same. I said, what's the hospitals like? Surely they're inundated and everyone's got masks and, they've got a strict protocol. And he said to me, Renee, seriously, I'm lucky to see any nurse on the ward. I'm like, really? I'm like, calm before the storm. Same thing, and it's exactly what the media were telling us. And if you define the word television, tell a vision, and that's exactly what they've been doing. And my grandmother's in a retirement, a nursing home, and I want to go visit her. And obviously I'm not going to get the flu shot, but I spoke to them and said, look, I'm coming to see my grandmother. And they were like, oh, okay, well, you need to go. And I said, well, I'm going to go visit her. And obviously I'm not going to get the flu shot, but I spoke to them and said, look, I'm coming to see my grandmother. And they were like, oh, okay, well, you need to go. And I said, well, I'm coming to see my grandmother. And they're not going to be able to stop me because I've had enough. I haven't seen her since January. And, I'm saying, what's the protocol? I was writing down notes and thinking, right, am I going to come in full force here and, blurb out, our rights and whatnot? But even my grandmother said, I said, Grandma, where have you been this week? What have you been doing? Have you done any outings? She's like 5 hours away. And she said, no, love, we go on the bus, but they won't let us off. We're not allowed in the shopping centres. Normally they'd allow them with their pocket money to go into the shopping centres. My grandmother's done her time, she's 80, 89. And it's like, is that how you're going to let my grandmother go? Like, she loves shopping. She's from England. She was a real shopaholic. And she's like, Renee, I just want to go shopping with my own money and buy my own things. And anyway, so I said, Grandma, it's all bullshit. Turn off your TV. I said, literally, this virus kills 4 times less than the seasonal flu. Now, people are going to still drop dead from the flu, from pneumonia, from heart attacks. And they actually are dropping dead more so from heart attacks, diabetes, other health-related issues than the virus itself. So I said, she won't remember because she's got a bit of slight dementia. So, it's all about, some people are just so focused on the story, but it will take a little incident for them to see or something to flash in front of their face to wake them up, as we've all experienced. So I think...
So have you all come to the same conclusion? Sorry to finally jumping back on my own show.
No, you're right.
Have you guys all arrived at the same conclusion? Do all of you believe there is a virus, or do all of you believe there is not? Now, Nazar and I were talking off camera. I know he's of the belief that there is no virus. Where do you sit, Nick, and where do you sit, Renee, on that?
I tend to think there probably is a virus, but I'll just say I can do basic mathematics, so I can tell how serious it is, and it's not very serious. It's all it takes. It doesn't take much to just do basic math. That's all.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
I said, I actually know it's there. It's just I don't know anybody that's got it, and no one I personally know knows anyone's got it. And like Nick, I've just done my basic math, and like Renee, you just said, 2019 we had no COVID, and 4,000 people died in Australia from the flu. 4,000. We've had 800, and then we say die from COVID-related death, not just COVID. No one's been able to tell us yet. Anyone? No one's been able to tell us how many people actually died from COVID.
Well, with Nazar, if you actually look at the statistics now, because there's investigations operating worldwide, and Australia haven't done their own, of course, because they're gonna look like pigs in mud, really. But at the end of the day, if you're talking about certain like US and certain European countries, apparently out of the actual virus and how many people have allegedly died from the virus, or it's on their death certificate, only 6% of those are actually true coronavirus stats, and they're all over the age of 75, 80. So
more people are dying. Less people are dying in old folks' homes than last year as well.
Yeah,
you guys see that?
Yeah. Well, Dia, have you heard of the 2 children that have passed away? There's been a small handful that I know of, and I've had to stop. I've been so inundated with informational messages, so I've had to stop reading them. But I know, and I've seen stories and reports. There's been a few children now that have died from the actual coronavirus test because the nurse has actually gone too far into the blood-brain barrier. And 2 kids have died. There was a 3-year-old that died about 3 weeks ago in the Middle East, and there was also another one. And not to mention the kids that have actually died from being wearing the masks as well.
A child is a child is a child. That's horrible.
Yep. And look, I don't take away, guys, from anyone dying having had. I believe that we all carry coronaviruses.
I think we do, or strains of it.
Yeah. Yep. And the tests were actually, you know, they were sent out to Australia 2019. Why they do that when the virus didn't actually hit to 2020? You know, there's major discrepancies there. I think people really need to take off the blindfold. You know what? If people stop drinking the fluoridated water, and that's a whole nother thing to get into, and decalcified their pineal glands, I think. And that's actually, funny enough, just got me thinking. I put a reverse osmosis on my tap probably about 9 months ago. So interesting that.
I mean,
But you know, highly worth it too for those who haven't got one and who drink tap water. I was a big tap water drinker and nothing but RO now. I'm a real advocate for it because they're putting, you know, shit in the water, shit in our air. It's just crazy. All right, you good to go, Dia?
so have I got some footage to download later on? These police have been unreasonably aggressive. A lot of people arrested. So I've got footage of a woman pushed over, grazes all over her back. Whatever the media says tonight on the news, do not listen to it. I'm not doing anything wrong. How come you guys haven't got masks if you're defending a deadly disease? Surely you can't defend something you don't believe in. You should be wearing a mask. Can we get... Asking your question.
No, I'm doing the talking. Will you comply and leave this?
I'm actually not. I'm not with them. Yeah. Look, I'm happy. I'm just. Can I get your? Can you write down your details? Yep. Can you write down your details? I need your. No. I need it written down. I'm allowed to ask for it written down. Written down. In writing. No. I would like it in writing. I would like yours in writing too. I'm asking you a question. Can I please have it in writing? I'm not getting aggressive. I'm not getting aggressive. I'm asking you a question. Here we go, guys. I haven't done anything. I literally, guys,
Bring him up here.
my wrist. No, I'm serious, man. I'm not resisting or anything. I'm doing what I'm told. I'm doing what I'm told. Yeah, I'll get down. Oh, yeah, sorry.
This is body camera recording.
Yeah, I'm wearing an arm necklace and shit. Like, I'm not aggressive.
Listen to me.
This.
Sit up. Sit up. Sit up. Sit up, I told you.
Oh, I can't hear you, mate. I'm shaking.
Okay, listen to me. Sit up, take your backpack off. Because you didn't comply with our direction.
I was asking you.
Under arrest.
I was asking you a question. I'm happy for that, mate.
I need to know your details.
Okay, but
Have you got a wallet in here?
no, I don't. I don't have money on me. I can give you my details. I don't want to, but I'm going to have to.
You're under arrest, you need to.
Yeah.
We can bring you back to.
Nah, can you hear me? You can? Okay. Yeah, so they so you see I wasn't aggressive. I mean, I got treated like a guy who just pushed over a granny and stolen a handbag. I just can't believe that they are treating people like this. And to tell you the truth, like compared to the way some of the other people were treated there, that was still complimentary. I received 5-star treatment compared to some of the people.
There was a lady actually, Nick, her mother lives in the street behind me. Funny enough, she noticed me and she said, Renee, I got one of these fines. I said, yep, I've seen it. And I've seen it because four people I know personally had actually been detained as well. They transport locked her wrist as well, like they did with me. Only difference is, I think, from all my adrenaline leading up to it with my son being there, I didn't actually feel the pain until later on that night.
Can you hear me?
But from the pressure, they actually, from the pressure, they actually broke my watch band from the transport, and I've still got pain and fluid in running down my into my phalanges, in my fingers. But yeah, just crazy. I did see, and I saw them going through your backpack as well.
Yeah.
They'd gone through, they'd trespassed on your property as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and one of the other things you don't see, if you slow it right down, when I was put in the lock, I had my phone, it was in this hand recording, so it was locked in, which was good. But an officer that was addressing another guy that had just been arrested leans in and tries to smash the phone out of that hand. He didn't connect with the phone, but he connected with that hand. I thought it was one of those two arresting officers, but if you sort of break it down, you can see this other officer just come in and try and whack it out as well. So, I mean, eventually I'll put in some sort of formal complaint. Not that I'm expecting that it'll go anywhere, because at the moment the government seem hell-bent on protecting police at all costs. But yeah, I'll put in a complaint about it.
Do you think that, I mean, you two are in a club, and Nazar and I, whether he realizes it or not, I'm in the same club as him because I have secret footage in a hospital too. I just haven't released it yet. But the point is, you're all in these particular clubs. Do you think all of these people need to like unite? I'm part of an organization. I'm one of the chapter leaders of hugs over masks. So basically, you encourage people to hug instead of, wearing a mask. And that's the point of some of these. There are all these little organizations popping up. Do you think us like congregating how we are right now to talk live how we are is a good step forward? Because like I might get censored tomorrow. I don't know. What do you guys reckon?
Yeah, look, I
don't see
think,
sorry, Renee.
Yeah,
go Renee,
I
and then
think,
Nazar, you can go right after.
Yeah, for me, it's like the school kid that gets in trouble. You don't want to feel like you're alone, even though you feel the pain that the other person's going through. Like I find now watching arrests, really we should be calling it unlawful detainment.
Temporary detainment.
Yeah, I actually find it really, really disturbing. I get really anxious. My hands start sweating. No, yeah, I
get comfort in it because I was once there. I thought that's what you were literally going to say.
No, I find comfort when I talk to the person, like I'm doing with you.
Like
I
Nick.
find comfort, yeah. But when you're actually watching the footage, it's that post-traumatic stress trigger. It's a trigger. So that's unfortunately, even my kids tonight, like on most nights, if we hear sirens, we live a couple of streets away from a main road, and you hear sirens every now and then, and even my kids jump up, and even tonight my son said, "Mum, are they coming to take us?" So it's not just traumatic. Yeah, and he's 3, and he only just turned 3, so he's been saying this for the last 5 months since the incident.
He wasn't the one in the footage?
No, my younger one. So Isaac's my middle, and the younger one has got that real trauma around the sirens. And
your son, by the way. Sorry. Your son in that video, and how he's like he kicks the cop. He's protecting his mum. Your son is like a little Australian hero. We're gonna watch it soon after Nazar's comment as well. But your son is awesome. Your second is so cute. What a hero.
Thank you. Yeah, you go, Nazar. I'm sure I'll be talking.
I don't see anything wrong with all these posts, all these conversations. I mean, if you think about it, we are all being exposed to mainstream TV, radio, news, and they're telling us their version of what's happening. And no one's putting someone like you guys out on the mainstream to give, and like Nick said earlier, facts. Just give facts, just give numbers, give real facts. What is the percentage? You know, what percentage of people being tested are getting it? What's the false positive rate? Of the false positive rate, how many of those positives are asymptomatic? How many of those that have symptoms are actually making it to a hospital? And of those, how many are actually dying? And of those dying, how many didn't have any previous conditions anyway? What are the facts? Just tell us the truth. And I think if they broke down the facts just as they do on TV now, but in actual real figures and in lay terms for people to understand, I don't think anyone would be believing this. The problem is, it's not their fault. I said in my post, don't hate the person, hate the behaviour. You know, and I don't hate the people for what they're doing. I hate their behaviour. Don't come and be a keyboard warrior and attack these people at Dio and these stations and these people say they're wearing tinfoil and that. Don't do that. Go and get your facts. If after you've got unbiased, objective facts, you still feel strongly about it, go and say and do what you need to do. But you're only operating off what the people who are doing this are telling you. So of course you're going to believe it. It's, you know, don't make uneducated opinions. And so I think what you guys are doing, you know, hugs instead of masks, I think the protests, I think all of this stuff needs to be done more. It's the only way that, you know, you said, Renee, yourself, until you experienced this, that was when the penny dropped. For me, it was walking into that hospital. You saw probably a minute and a half of a 4.5 minute video on its own. If you go onto the post, you'll see it in detail. It's amazing. That, for me, I'm glad I experienced that, because what would I have been like if I didn't? You know, who would I be asking? I'm very opinionated too by nature. You know, and that really annoys me. And for me, it's not a big deal because, as I said before the show, I was saying that, you know, Blue Solar, where business is booming for us. I've just hired 3 new people. It's not an issue for me financially. We're good because people are home, working from home, bills going up. They're asking us. So I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about everyone around me being treated like a goose, like an idiot, like a moron, having the piss taken out of them, and then actually believing what they're saying, and then arguing with someone like me or anyone else, you know, doctors, surgeons, Alan Jones, whoever it may be, with no background. I mean, my own family is doing it. Some of my closest friends are doing it, and then they're saying, "Oh, this is how it really is," and that vial that's coming out of your mouth and shit you're spewing, and if you don't like it, delete me as your friend. Dude, I'm not going to delete you as my friend on Facebook. I'm going to delete you as a friend, you know, and I nearly did in my vulnerable moments. But again, don't hate the person, hate the behavior. I think what you guys are doing is awesome. I think you should do more of it. I think it should be on broader, more mainstream, more audiences. And I think if that happens, people like Renee and I will be out there and can see the facts and listen to Nick with the stats and go, oh my God.
All 3 of you.
Yeah, all of us, you know, we've all had that moment. And then realise I am a goose. I've been fooled. These guys are taking advantage of me and my vulnerability and my naivety and my, sorry, no offense, lack of intellect. And, you know, maybe this thing is not real because I don't know anybody that's got it. All they got to do is ask themselves, how many people do you know that have got it? Is that worthy of locking down in the entire state? Is it worthy of putting in, you know, curfews and, you know, 5K restrictions and, you know, people not be able to see their grandma, you know, and people not being able to see their sick kids? Really? More people, 4,000 died of the flu, 800 died COVID related, and you want to shut down the state? What did we shut down the state last year in 2019 when 4,000 people died of the flu? I don't get it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Shall we watch your footage, Renee? I think it's an edited version of, I don't know where yours was. I couldn't find your specific one. So I've got one from a page called No Jab, No Pay, No Way. So let's have a look. Hopefully they show your son being a little hero.
He's half Arab.
Yeah, my son is. He gets the fight from me, though.
You can't hear, can you?
No.
No, that's probably a good thing, but for me.
No, well, I just realized that I didn't reset it.
I know.
Hang on. Sorry, I know you don't want to.
And I think, you know, sorry, yeah, it's good to go.
You are not. Come on, man. No, I'm not. What is she under arrest for? You're scaring my son. Move away from me and my son. Move away.
What has she done? Look.
Me and my son. What are you arresting her for? What are you arresting her for? I don't know him. That is his mother.
While these lockdowns are in effect, every Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m, I'm going to exercise by walking around our state Parliament House. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I got some support here. Hey, how you doing, guys? I don't know where all these people came from. Where did they get the idea to come and exercise with signs? Okay. Is there a law that says I can't carry a sign while I'm exercising?
It depends what the sign says.
So is there a law?
You guys are public servants. You should be serving the public. You're not serving the public now. You guys took an oath. You took an oath under the constitutional law to defend the public. You're not doing that. You know, I don't know how you guys can go home in honour tonight and try and infringe me with the notice, which I don't consent to, because we're doing nothing wrong. You guys should be here holding the signs with us, defending us. So I don't consent to what you're doing. Look at this. Okay? I don't consent. We're acting safely. We're not acting in aggression. So I do not consent to giving my name. There is no name to give. Exactly. Am I under arrest? Am I being detained here? No, I'm just trying to speak to you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So I'm not under arrest, am I? You are not being detained. I'm free to go. I am asking for your name because I do believe you're committing an offence. Do you understand that? I'm not committing a crime. Am I being detained? I understand. Am I being detained? No. Thank you. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for, I hope that you're all here supporting and caring for us. Maybe you guys can carry a sign too. I'd love to. Okay? I am going to be asking for okay? I do not consent. I understand.
You guys are good people deep down.
So, have a beautiful day.
Sadly, you have to do this.
Thanks very much. It is. Because it's our right.
They're doing their jobs and look what they have to be.
Yeah, I have 306 and this is what I'm teaching them. I go to sleep with honour at the end of the night. With honour knowing that I've defended my rights. I'm here fighting for not just myself and my kids, but for your children too. That's right. So, thanks guys. Have a good day. I'm going to keep walking.
So I believe that you're committing an offence in breach of the public health orders?
No, I do not consent. I do not consent. No.
But ma'am, do you understand you're being detained at this point in time?
You're harassing me and you're trying to intimidate me and it's not going to happen.
Ma'am, please stop.
Well, you better detain everybody.
One at a time?
No. I'm a woman of this land and you do not need to know who I am.
Are you refusing? No, you're not going. I am detaining you.
No, you're
Just
not
so you're
detaining
clear,
me.
I am.
No, you're not. On what grounds? Have I committed an offence?
I believe you have
I
committed
acted
an offence.
unlawfully? No.
Yes, you have.
I have not. I have not committed a criminal offence. I will not be detained and I do not.
Not from me.
You're
Let's do
scaring my
this so
son
I
here.
can give you're scaring your son. Let's give opportunity. I want to get your name so I can give you a formal.
I am not going
I
to
do not
give
want
my
to
name. I
take
do
you
not
back to the
consent
police
to giving
station.
you my name.
I don't want to do
That's
that.
not going to happen. I have not committed a criminal offence.
We believe you have.
But I have not.
And I have a
I
legal
have
power.
not.
No, you're not free to go.
Yes,
you are not free to go.
Don't touch me.
You are not
You
free
need
to go.
to take
Do you
your hand
understand?
off me.
You are not
You
free
need
to
to
go.
take your hand off me. You need to remove your hand from me. No, I'm not under arrest for anything. I am not under arrest for anything. No, I'm not under arrest.
Have you
for
got someone here to
anything.
take your son?
No, I don't. My son's with me. I'm not under arrest.
Why is she under arrest? You need to get why is she under arrest? Can you grab Victor? Can you grab Victor, please? Immediately. Why is she under arrest? Why is she under arrest? Why is she under arrest? Tell me why. Why is she under arrest? Why is she under arrest?
You were scaring a child. You were trying to make a point. She has done nothing illegal. She has her son with her.
Embarrassing.
Can you please not get so close to me? I was social distancing.
Prove it.
You have come within a metre and a half of me. I've been social distancing. She has a child with her. You are disgusting. You are disgusting human beings. She has a child with her.
Everyone you choose her. You choose her. You choose her. Everyone you choose her. She's got a baby. She's got a fucking baby. You don't got the baby.
Stop it! She'll be okay. She'll be okay. She'll be okay, sweetie. What's your name? What is your name? I want your details. James.
That was very hard to watch. That's very disturbing.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh.
I actually forgot how bad that was.
I didn't know how bad it was either. I watched that so long ago. Shit. That hurt my heart. Are you okay, Renee?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's funny, you go through the first couple of weeks after it. I was so strong, and
should I have asked you first?
No, that's okay. It's part of the healing
okay.
process. The first couple of weeks after watching it, I was so strong, and I was able to watch it fine. And then it went from being able to watch it just with the sound off, because the sound was a real trigger, and then not to watching it all. So, I felt really angry and frustrated. And going back to what you said about doing the hugs over masks, I really feel we all need to band together and really, whether it's a class action, we need to not pay the fines, because I haven't paid mine and I won't be. Not pay the fines. And I think we need to privately prosecute the officers involved. And I've got all my officers' details, and I'm going to subpoena the rest of them as well. I'm just not in a rush to do it. I think the healing is the most important. But at what stage, watching that, it's like the anger.
That was intense.
It's at what stage do they make that okay? When they told me I'm not being detained, I haven't committed a criminal offence, and I said I'm free to go.
Phone.
Yeah. So
they wanted to arrest you. They wanted to arrest you because you gave them lip. That's what I saw. Yeah. That's how I see it.
Well, I just exercised my rights as a Crown person. I just basically was saying, no, you're not getting my details, because I know I lawfully don't have to give them. And everyone's like, Renee, but if you had given your details, if you had this, I'm like, no, that's why I was there that day, because they are our rights. We do not have to give our details, okay? So when people can wrap their head around that they actually don't have to engage with the police unless they're being detained for the purpose of a criminal investigation, you don't have to. And if it was such a crime not giving my details, then why was I not charged with failing to give my details? I wasn't. I was released nearly 5 hours later. No food, no water, no phone call allowed to be made. lucky enough, I snuck my phone into the back of the paddy wagon, and the first person I called was my husband. And I said, you need to come down right now. Luckily enough, someone said, you're going to Day Street, Surrey Hills. So he came down. He was there within the hour to pick him up. But I still kept saying, no, I'm not giving my details, because the minute you give your details, you're entering into contract with them. For me, I ended up under duress giving my details at about 4 hours after being detained, because I have children to come home to. And I knew that if I just gave them my details, then I was going to be released and I could fight the matter at another stage.
How is your boy? Does he have any PTSD, or is he resilient? Is he okay?
Look, he's resilient, but after we all are resilient. Myself and my family, and that's just the way I brought my children up. I've never sheltered them or hid them from anything. I've always been very open and transparent with them, with the way that I've brought them up. And as you can see, the way my son behaved that day in fighting for his mum, that's exactly the warriors. Yeah. But we all do, Dia. We've all got post-traumatic stress. We all do. I think probably even my husband. For us, it's being around the police. It's seeing arrest videos. It's and detaining videos. And what I don't get though is, how do the police officers, like, everyone has some sort of moral compass, unless you're a real psychopath, satanic moron, like most of them, I'd say. How do they okay that? Because if that was me, I would start doing checks within my moral compass, saying, hang on, I signed up to the forces, and this is our problem, guys, because these politicians are only gaining from the power of the false sense of power that these police officers and the military have. So should they step back and say, you know what, we did not enter, the forces on these grounds, that we were going to be ripping children from mums and detaining people who have a right to voice their opinions and exercise their rights, a right to protest, a right to congregate. If these police officers just stood for a moment and said, what we are doing is so unlawful and wrong, and putting that aside, it wasn't why we joined the forces, I think we would have a little bit of we need an awakening in the forces. And then I think that they're going to lose their stronghold, because the officers right now, the police officers, are actually the ones who are creating the fear as well, being the presence on the street, presence at protests. And the same, Nick, like when you said you walked down into the street, I knew that it was going to be like that when I went there, but I decided that I still had to keep standing strong. And I wasn't
arrested. I was shouting at cops. I was yelling at the cops. He doesn't even know the rules. He's reading from a piece of paper. I don't know if you guys watched the video that I made of the 7 arrests, but I was shouting at the cops. I'm like, I'm going to get arrested. I didn't. But they're tracking all of us now. All 4 of us are being tracked easily, or at least we have a file by ASIO. It's very obvious.
There's apparently our lovely Zuckerberg from Facebook's hired 16,000 extra staff members to basically spyware over all the accounts and whatnot. Like, what are we living in? And to see that mother get taken for a post, like, again, if the police given
Zoe
an order,
I've been speaking to her. She doesn't want to come on my show, not because she doesn't want to come on, she just doesn't want to do interviews, really. But we're friends. We're friends online. Yeah, she's lovely.
Yeah, but at what point can you actually take an order that, this mother posted something on Facebook, for God's sake, go and grab her from a home in front of her children, and she's pregnant, by the way. But that
she had
apparently,
the baby.
Apparently it's a bit of a planned. They take down the vulnerable, so the women, children, the elderly, in hope that the men around are going to arc up, and then that'll create a really nice story on their news, on the 7 o'clock news. If you guys notice that helicopter hovering at Olympic Park for 2.5 hours, mind you, it costs $10,000, $5,000 for, I believe it's 10 minutes in the air. So why do we need taxpayers' money? Not only forget all the police presence, but why do we need all the taxpayers' money to go towards having that helicopter hover in the air? Because they're just trying to get shots, and they'll, they make us look out as if we're, some sort of aggressive psychos, when it's the opposite. Like, if you just, I urge everyone to come out and actually have a look. The presence of an actual of a march is it's uniting, and people aren't there in anger. We're against it, and that's why we want the deep state's agenda brought to its knees, because we don't want that. We live in peace and harmony. But yeah, it's there has to be an awakening in the forces, I really feel, and people like us who have suffered at the hands of these psychopaths. I believe we need to stand together and do some sort of action against them, because it might make, if we do go down the avenue of, say, private prosecution on the individual officer, so you get them in their private capacity, I think that's going to deter a lot of officers moving forward, making unlawful detainments. Because they'll think twice.
They will think twice, for sure. No, that's okay. I was just going to say, some of the viewers, this is now the question portion of the evening. I'll only put up like 5 or 6, and then we'll all bow out. How do we restore genuine democracy in Australia? I figure we'll start with Nazar, because he's been in Australia the longest. Are you the eldest on the panel? Sorry. So that's rude, isn't it?
I didn't get to ask. Was your son put in the back of the van with you? Was he to the police station when you were arrested?
He was put in the middle, and I was thrown in the back.
Wow.
Yeah, and they kept me in the back for about 15 minutes, and they took him. So I don't know where he went. And I demanded, I said, you need to bring my son to me now. He's extremely distressed. He knows no one here, and quite frankly, I don't trust anyone. You need to bring my son to me in the cell. No, that's not going to happen. I said, but he's my son, and I'm demanding you restore my property to me. Like, he needs his mother.
I'm still struggling with what I saw. It was horrific. And what was really concerning with Nick especially was when he said earlier, and this is how I was treated, I had the 5-star treatment. I think that's happening. I think we're all becoming more and more desensitized. We really are. We're actually thinking, for Nick to say that doesn't make it okay. Or, that doesn't make it at all okay that you were treated that way. And because someone else was hit across the head and thrown to the ground, it's actually desensitized us to a point where, I was okay. They only grabbed me. They only twisted my arm. They only hit the phone out of my hand. Only this guy got that. It doesn't make it any better or worse. In regards to how we restore genuine democracy, I think you guys, you've answered that. I mean, we need to stand up. And I don't know that a protest of 250 people or 50 people is going to change anything. It might change 1 or 2 people's minds. I was under the impression when this was happening that there was going to be 200,000 people in the streets of Melbourne. I think they thought it might be possible too, and that's why they closed off the roads. But unless everyone gets together, I mean, what's ironic is we all want the same result. We all want the same result. We just want this thing to end. Others want it to end by listening to our Premier in Melbourne, for instance, and want everyone to wear a mask and everyone to believe in this shit, but they just ultimately want us to wear masks and believe in it so that it can end. We just want it to end, but we know it can end now. There isn't enough cases. I mean, where they allege this thing even started, it didn't have the laws that we have here in Melbourne. In China, they didn't have as strict as we do. It's just, we just need to get together, and if it is, individual and private, I guess, not persecution, I shouldn't say, but, getting these people, making them accountable, that's a start. For me, I just think we all need to get together on a big scale. That's the only thing that's going to make a difference, and how do we do that? As soon as anyone says that, there's a knock on the door, you're being arrested, you're being taken away. I just think, like you said, don't pay the fines, get together, stand together, and you know what? I'm not being rude, I'm not being heroic, but so what? You're going to get arrested. You're going to sit in a cell. So what? You know, there were people that ran up a cliff one day knowing they were on the front line for certain, I'm going to be killed when I get over that hill. But you might give the guy behind it a chance to get across. You know, and then today, years later, we talk about our Anzacs, and they were sitting there fighting, knowing they were going to die, and still did it because they knew if we don't do this now and die, my kids, my grandkids, they're going to die anyway. You know, so I have to do this for them to have a chance, just have a chance, a possibility. There was no certainty, and yet they still did it. We're not talking about dying. People aren't shooting us. They're throwing us to the ground. They're twisting our arms. They're putting us in a van. They're stomping our homes and breaking our doors. They're arresting us in our pajamas. We're not going to die, but we need to stand up. This is insane. It's insane we're letting them get away with it. And you know, if we are a democracy, if we're a genuine democracy, if we are a democracy, then where's our where's our right to protest? Where's our right to voice our opinions and concerns? Why is only mainstream media voicing one side of the argument? It makes no sense, you know.
Well, I saw
Nick,
sorry. I was going to say,
go
I
ahead.
shared
What
a post. Since the start of all this, I've really felt that we need a massive presence from the Indigenous tribes, and I really feel that's our hope. I just feel that that's our only hope. I can't explain it, and I felt this from the start, Dia. And then I shared a post the other week. Pardon?
It could be a good theory. It sounds a bit random to me, but maybe there's something to that that maybe is over my head. Sorry, I just want Nick to get a chance to answer that question. We'll move on to another question.
Yeah, so just on what Renee's saying, there is actually a mob up in the Northern Territory who are starting to use our laws and the system against them, and they're coming forward. And there's a big movement. Watch out for it. Something's happening up there. And I literally saw that the other day. Yeah, there's something really exciting there. It's not necessarily them versus white Australia. It's a very uniting movement. It's whatever's happening up there is good. But,
I shared it the other day. Yeah.
So look into it. Yeah. But the other thing is like I say, using the system against them. So for instance, the worst case scenario with this fine is that I'll have it tied up so much in the system that it'll just get thrown out eventually before it even sees a courtroom. I was reading an article today that if simply 10% of people refuse to pay all their fines and opt for court, the whole system will just stop working. It'll grind to a halt. They won't even be able to afford to run it because by the time they're putting together all these cases against everybody, it's just costing the government too much money. And they can't keep up with it. And then obviously there's peaceful protest. It's gotten to the point where particularly in Victoria, I mean, Victorians have to take it back. But then from my point of view, what happens to those in Victoria happens to all of us. So we all need to be standing up, if not for ourselves, because it'll eventually come here if we let it go. We need to stand up for Victorians as well.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. So Dominic asks, why aren't the numbers? This is probably the last question as well, because there hasn't been a whole lot. And to have all three of you answer the questions, it's just going to extend out to like a 3-hour live stream. Why aren't the numbers coming to rally every week until the scamdemic ends? What's got everyone's tongue? Does anyone want to attempt to answer that? Does anyone have a theory on that?
Definitely I think definitely the police presence. They're worried about getting detained. Absolutely. That's what it is, hands down. And they're playing that approach. And I agree with you, Nazar, that's what we have to do. We have to say, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, look, I'd advise not to take kids with you because that can be extra traumatic.
That's a great piece of advice.
There shouldn't be, though. There shouldn't be a reason that we shouldn't be able to, because I saw plenty of kids and pregnant women there at the Freedom Day March on the 5th. But I just think the fact that the police are psychos right now and they're capable of anything, as you saw with me, that it is safer to not put your child in that situation. Hindsight is a great thing, but definitely I think it's the police. And I think people are in that position where they might also be looked upon weird by their family. You know, if you say I'm going to the rally or I'm going to some sort of freedom march, I think they're worried about it being ostracised. I'm lucky that most of my family support me, all of them actually. They probably think I'm a bit crazy, but anyway. But I think they also fear about their family members ostracizing them. I know so many people, and it breaks my heart, you know, grandmothers who their children have stopped them from seeing their grandchildren because they're labelled a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. So I think that too makes people withdraw a little bit, the fact that some of the family are on board, some of them aren't. So they're not wanting, they're trying to keep the peace in their own home as well. And yeah, that's basically it. I think also they think, oh, there's not going to be many people there. Should we go? Shouldn't we? Do I have someone to go with? Because people don't want to go on their own.
I went by myself.
I know. Good on you.
Thank you. I'm a brave girl. I know, you're a brave girl too.
Yeah.
One of my best friends is in Sydney at the moment. He went a few days before the borders were closed with his family, and he actually got stuck up there. And on the day of our protest, when we went to head up there, our roads were actually blocked. You couldn't actually access the city at all. It had actually closed off our roads completely into the city. And I had photos of it. I'm sending it to him saying he knew I was going to go. I had to speak out. As I said, it hasn't affected me. This is what people don't get. The post that you saw, the video that you saw, is up to about 50,000 views now and over 200,000 comments. And you read it, and in answer to Dominic's question, why aren't they coming? It's exactly as you said. The police are deliberately being heavy-handed. They need to show that to the media so that, you know, if we're heavy-handed enough, it'll scare others from coming later. You're not stupid. They put some thought into this. We couldn't get that. They shut us down. Now, then what happens is everyone looks at that protest and goes, oh, why was there only 250 people? Because 2,500 of them couldn't get into the city at all. It's blocked. It's closed. We can't physically get there. And I only live 30 kilometres from the city, and I couldn't get in there. So it's just it's crazy.
Nice photo, dear.
Some random girl gave it to me. Some girl that I accidentally met up with. I think her name was Renee.
Funny enough, I would encourage everyone to wear shirts. Because the placards can get a little bit in the way. But I've got a shirt printed now, so that'll be my new trademark.
What's your shirt say? Hugs over
so
masks?
on the front, no, it says lawful rebellion. On the back, it says when injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. So yeah.
So with all three of you, can we expect anything? Nazar, are you gonna start infiltrating every single hospital in Melbourne?
Funny enough, what happened was I'd been obviously a couple of times since and didn't film it because I didn't think people would be so stupid they'd need to see it 2 or 3 times. Yeah, no, definitely. The next time I go in, I'll be filming it and I'll be asking them the questions. On my post, if you have a look, a lot of the doctors and nurses, even from the aged care, have actually got on and said it's not changed. We don't wear masks. There is no COVID. I've got a lady who works in a very large aged care place here in Melbourne. They haven't had a single case, not one. And she's gone public on my post with that, explaining we haven't had a single, not one case. And you're hearing that all these people in aged care have got it and they're all dying and you can't see their families. So yeah, no, definitely I will be. And I'm already thinking of more ways to generate some interest.
Good on you. Good on you. That's amazing.
Facts, get some facts out
there. Good idea.
And use this post and the 50,000 viewers to maybe make a difference to. I know that a couple of them in particular went the other way already from the post. You see it. They start off with "You're an idiot. Why are you doing this?" And when I explained it, they're like, "Okay, I get your point. Valid point. Fair point. I get you now." So people will learn eventually. You can't change everyone, but yeah, no, definitely will be. I'll be doing some more about it, and I just can't wait.
And what about you, Nick? Ever since you became arrested, are you back? Are you coming back?
Well, when you get arrested, you're in an elite club now. I think.
I know, I'm not in it yet.
Like I literally never felt so supported in my life. So for anyone that criticised it, there was 10 people that jumped on and supported. And I've spoken to other people who were arrested on the Saturday, and every single one of them has said to me, "I'll be back."
Sorry, that's Dean McRae who wrote that, not me. He's calling you guys the dissident. You guys are the dissident squad. He's got T-shirts and everything. So that's good, Nick, that you're doing that. And Renee, you're doing the T-shirt thing, and so you're going to keep going to these events. Maybe not get arrested, but you'll still sort of show and wear your T-shirt as a form of brotherhood.
Well, my whole point is I just don't want to be detained again and get another fine until my other fine's dealt with. So yeah, that
You
was
said
why
who
I'm
cares?
being
Just let them pile
careful.
up.
Yeah, because I did the stupid way. I actually elected to have the matter heard in court because I wasn't sure which way to go with it. Whilst I had so much
That doesn't
support,
seem stupid.
so I elected to have the matter heard in court, which isn't until bloody December. So I've got to try and keep out of it. I just don't want the judge to have another thing to say, oh, look at her, you know, she's back out there and she keeps on, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to deal with that. And of course, I definitely want to seek some sort of, what would be the word? I do want to privately prosecute those. I mean, I'd love for those police officers.
There
to
is a
be thrown in
class
jail.
action that people can join.
Yeah. Look, if I was walking down the street with a weapon and I detained or kidnapped a mother and child, I'd be in jail right now. So why aren't they? But anyway, we know that's not
they
going to
have a
happen.
uniform.
So yeah, but keep going to the rallies. I want to see freedom. I also think I feel really strongly about the Indigenous people moving back in and something happening there up as in Darwin. I've put something on my post about that, and I just my whole advocacy from the start has been people knowing their rights, and the more people who know their rights, they become more empowered and they feel much stronger to go out and do things. And that's the first time I've ever had confrontation with the police. So I felt, looking back at it, I'm like, oh, did I say that? And I should have said this, I should have said that. But, you know, that's
did great.
where you
You
learn.
and your son did great.
Yeah.
I think I think everyone watching and everyone on this panel thinks you did great. So don't worry.
Yeah.
You were fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. I won't stop. And there's a saying that I think everyone needs to know, and that's either you fight on your feet or you live on your knees. And I know definitely I'd rather be fighting on my feet. So
well done.
Good on you.
I forgot at the very start of my live to do my usual tradition. I don't know how many of you believe in God or not. I know you don't, Nick, but it's irrelevant. This is how I run my show. So I'm just going to read a couple of Bible verses that I usually read them at the start. I didn't do it this time. So this is from the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 14. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it. Pass not by it. Turn from it and pass away. Do you know what's funny? It sounds like they're saying, you know, turn away, stay away from the police. It's a little.
But when they
poetic.
come and hunt you, it's a bit hard. One thing I will say though, guys, and my husband, you know, at the start, he said, Renee, why? And I said to him, stop. God does not bear on us what we cannot handle, you know, and that's one thing we need to remember. We were made for this time. We're here and we're made for this time. And as I asked Isaac 4 days after the incident, I said to him, Isaac, what made you want to come with Mum that day? Because he was hell bent on coming. I was supposed to go on my own. And he said, Mum, he said, Mum, you know what? My head was hurting, but I got this warm feeling over through my body and in my heart from God saying, you need to go with your mum.
Oh,
you need to be with your mum. Wow. So already, and this is where, sorry, Nick, I know, look, you can call divine source.
Nick's going to hell.
God,
he's an atheist.
Whatever.
Yeah, no.
You know, I really believe that, there's that sixth sense that we have, you know, whether you're religious or not, or you believe in the divine.
For an atheist, it's a gut. It's in the gut. It's like a gut feeling.
Yeah, sixth sense. Yeah. But yeah, I really feel that we all tap into that and we stay strong. And that's our faith in whatever it may be is what carries us through. You know, and so we really need to hold on to our faith and know this is a spiritual warfare. It's not. It's a little bit of a battle on earth, but it's a spiritual warfare.
You're 100% right. Yeah, 100%. And the people that are doing this to us, when you look at the numbers, and I won't sit there with the conspiracy, I'm not one of those guys, but, you know, I just found it coincidental that on the day our announcement was made, there were 666 deaths and all this nonsense, and all the people involved. There's nothing Christian about this. I mean, there's nothing Christian about this. And it's our faith, it's our belief in God, it's us sticking together as people, which is, you know, one of the number one things that we need to do, and that's what will get us through this. And I'm not surprised at all with what your son went through. I totally believe that, and I think it's awesome I don't know. I just
Yeah.
it's so amazing what you and Nick went through. I didn't. I got to carry a camera through a hospital, you know, and expose some of the lies. But you know, good on you. You're brave. You guys are awesome. Do it again. I'll stand right with you. Should I be in Sydney? If I get to Sydney, if they free up the borders, I'll come and see the video. I'd love to be there.
But Nazar, just quickly, there's foot soldiers chosen for many different fields. Mine might have been an awakening of people. You know, yours might be awakening people in other ways with the footage. So Nick, you know, yours is the same. You know, you are bringing that raw footage to the people who are still essentially totally, you know, unconscious about what's going on. So we all are chosen foot soldiers in one way or another, and I really believe that. And that's where we just have to hold on to faith. And my mum taught me from a young girl, you put on your armor in the morning, you know, you put on that helmet, you carry your sword,
Oh, what a
carry your
sweetheart.
shield.
That's a good mum.
Yeah. Anyway, enough talking
No,
from me.
I'm happy to have facilitated this. I'm happy to do one again next time. Maybe Dean will want all three of you for one of his own versions, because as I said, I've borrowed this channel just because my one got a strike. I will resume my normal live stream as of next week. But in the meantime, guys, look out, because Renee, Nick, and Nazar have they're now soldiers in this war, and I'll keep making videos, and I'll keep also infiltrating the system best I can, and helping how I can. And yeah, so thanks everyone for tuning in, for being so receptive.
Thanks, dear.
Namaste, love and light to you, dear.
Namaste. Let me just end the broadcast.